So, first and foremost, before we proceed with the deep discussion of subject, the first thing that we will do is, of course, to define its meaning. Since our subject is about research, so we will first define what is research. So, research is defined as scientific investigation of phenomena, which includes collection, presentation, analysis, and interpretation of facts that links an individual's speculation with reality. In other words, research is the systematic study of trend or event which involves careful collection, presentation, analysis, and interpretation of quantitative data or facts that relates a man's thinking with reality. So, nangyayari kasi ang research if there is something that you would like, if you have something on your mind that you would like to discover, or there's an issue and then you want to solve that issue or that problem. So, meaning to say is you can actually perform a research where there will be a collection, presentation, analysis, and interpretation of these quantitative data or facts. And of course, you will able to relate that to the man's thinking with reality. And research is about knowledge. So it is a prime source of beauty, sociability, practicability, work and reason, discussion, and speculation. It is a one aspect or other exists in a person in an unusual manner which is transferred from generation to other generation. So knowledge can be derived or sourced from formal. When we say formal, that is from experience or nature. Informal, that is logic, efforts, and intuition. And when we say informal, so it is from common sense. And of course, educational. So that is so practical. Okay? So when we say inquiry, it is an approach learning that involves a process of exploring the natural or material world that leads to asking questions and making discoveries in the search for new understandings. So it is a process that has the aim of augmenting knowledge, resolving doubt, or solving a problem. So ibig sabihin, it is the nature of inquiry. It is in the form of problem, question, an obstacle, discussion, interview or encounter, hypothesis, and that is verifiable. Research also is a scientific thinking. So when we say scientific thinking, it is an inductive deductive mode of thinking or reasoning. It is based on empirical evidences and establishes cause and effect relationship. Thus, a research is an example of scientific thinking. And research is theory. It indicates towards the value of artificial and innovative usability. It is an attempt to develop a general explanation for some phenomenon. So here, it is concerned with explanation and therefore focuses on determining cause-effect relationship. It is also clarifying the relationship between evidences, and at the same time, it gives meaning to the existed relationship and thus presents it in an appropriate form. Why do we need to make a research? Why research? It is important or to conduct or do research because first, it is a major contributor towards attainment of national development goals. So example for this is for in a government. Okay, so we have a goals to achieve, and of course, we need a research to attain those goals, and of course, yung development. Okay. Second, it plays a major role in shaping the nature's future development and modernization. So we are particularly enjoying a product of research nowadays. We are living in this modernized world where we can the communication is very quick and accessible, and those are example of research. Okay, and somehow we are living in it improves our lives because of research then. Third, in particular, undergraduate or college thesis is not compilation of the ideas of the writers or researchers. Okay, so actually, this is an organization of their views in one's own way to show the relation of the different ideas and, if possible, to draw conclusions based on one's readings. So, of course, research is requirements for college students. Thesis is a requirement for college students, but it does not mean that it is to show different ideas, but it draws conclusion that will help future researchers that who would like to conduct the same research as the research that were being provided by this student. Okay. So next, its purpose to answer a specific question to solve a particular controversy or issue. So like what I mentioned earlier, that if there is a controversy or issue, so we need to find a solution to that. Okay, so now we're going to have a research. Next is its primary objective is to seek new knowledge and provide useful information in the form of verification. Okay, so sabi nga natin, research is knowledge. It is transferred from generation to generation. So we have here the value of research to man, and this as follows. Okay, so research improves quality of life. Of course, so sabi ko nga kanina, what we are enjoying right now is modernization, and that modernization is a product of research. Research improves instruction, and of course, when we say improves instruction, it pertains to institution, okay, to academic institution. And really, research is very important. As a matter of fact, in every school, di ba, meron tayong mga department ng, for example, there's a separate department about research. And aside from school, in the, di ba, sa ating mga corporate setups, meron din silang mga other department. Example is yung R&D, yung research and development. Yan. So, because research is very important in every organization. Research improves students' achievement. Of course, aside from you were able to provide a knowledge, and you can help the future researchers. So, this is your achievement as well, because sabi nga natin, if you were able to find a solution to an issue or a problem, so that is your achievement. Or if you find something that you can create intervention to that situation, that is your achievement. Okay? So research improves teachers' competence. So this is actually in relation with improves instruction. Okay? So research satisfies man's need because sabi nga natin, man has no satisfaction. So they will always look for satisfaction. Kaya research is here to satisfy every man's needs and wants. Okay? So research reduces the burden of work. And that is true to all of us because technology nowadays, we are enjoying technology. Diba? Communication when it comes to mobile phones. Our communication is real time. So that's a product of research. And aside from that, even our household chores. So, diba? It lessen the burden of our household chores. If we're going to cook rice, then we have a rice cooker. If we want to make your laundry, we have a washing machine. So that reduces the burden of work. And those are the product of research. So research has a deep-seated psychological aspects. Okay, because if you were able to provide something that is needs an answer, diba, somehow your psychological aspect is actually you can find your achievement as a person because you were able to provide a good research. Okay, so research improves the exportation of food products. Okay, research responds to the economic recovery and austerity measure of the country. And research trains a graduate to become responsive to the economic development of the country and compete globally, of course. And we have here a thesis and dissertation. So what is the difference between thesis and dissertation? So a thesis is a formal and lengthy research paper, especially one written in a partial fulfillment of the requirement for master's degree as well as for college students. Okay? So now what we're going to do is thesis. So pag dissertation naman, it is a more of sophisticated research paper written in partial fulfillment of the requirements for a doctorate degree. Okay? So now let's proceed with the characteristics of research. So characteristics of research is first is empirical. So when we say empirical, that is direct practical experience of observation. So your first activity is actually is like observation, diba? So you draw some possible title based on your observation on the news headline. And of course, that is what we call, ito yung characteristic ng research, that is empirical. Okay? Next is logical, that is valid procedures and principles. Okay? So, when some principles are actually, we are exist, there are a lot of existing principles. Diba? And if you would like to make a research and you will base the your research on principles. Like for example, meron tayong tinatawag na Maslow hierarchy of needs, 'di ba? So, it is logical if you're going to make a research based on that principle. Kasi yun yung parang pinagbasihan mo. So, yung characteristic of your research is logical. When we say cyclical, it starts with a problem and ends with a problem. It is a continuous endeavor. So, ibig sabihin, you created a research because there is a problem. And at the end of the research, upon finishing your research, upon drawing conclusions and recommendations, meron pa kayong nakikitang mga problem. So, that's another set or another procedure or another title for a research. So, talagang siya ay cyclical. Ibig sabihin is paikot-ikot lang siya. Because you can draw another problem based on the research that you are doing. Okay? Next is analytical. Utilize proven analytical procedures in gathering data, whether historical, descriptive. Okay, so we have to follow analytical procedures in gathering data, and of course, um, it is analytical kasi we have a process and procedures. Diba? Hindi yung basta na lang that you somehow there's a problem and then somehow you think of a solution. So that is not analytical research. It should be analytical procedures in gathering data. Okay? So when we say critical, exhibits careful and precise judgments. Okay, so you should be careful, okay, to make a precise judgment. How are you able to provide a precise judgment? So you should be very careful on the data that you are actually getting. And of course, these data, parang in order for you to avoid biases, you have to make sure that all the data were being provided, and of course, it should be reliable yung mga kinukuha yung mga data. Okay? Methodical. So, in methodical or orderly manner without bias using systematic, organized methods and procedures. Okay, so systematic should be organized. And don't worry, I'm going to teach you the process or the manner of creating our in making your research. Okay. So replicability, research design, and procedures are replicated or repeated to enable the researchers to arrive at valid and conclusive results. It means using the same instrument, method, and procedure, but two different venues and subjects. So you can actually adopt an existing research, but make sure that you have to cite well the author of that research, and you don't have to copy and paste. By the way, I just want to remind you, plagiarism is a no-no for research. You can actually copy, but make sure to cite the author. You have to cite the references. And if you have to copy, hindi mo siya basta-basta kokopyahin. I-rephrase mo siya. But don't forget to cite the author. Okay? So, sabi nga dito, replicability. Pwede mo namang you have to adapt that research, the same instrument, but at different venues and subjects. So, kailangan mo pa rin siyang i-explain sa sinusulat mo na paper. Okay? And just to remind you, plagiarism is not acceptable. And I can see if your work is plagiarized, copy and paste. So it's a no-no. Anyway, we're going to have an exercise about that. Okay? Para ma-avoid ang ating pag-copy and paste. So we have here the qualities of a good researcher. Research-oriented, efficient, scientific, effective, active, resourceful, creative, honest, economical, and religious. Another one, responsibility, excellence, scholarly, enhancement, acceptability, reinvent, career, heart, extension, rewards, and recognition. So if you're going to combine these acronym, what are we the word that we're going to produce is a researcher. Therefore, you should possess all the qualities of a good researcher, and you should take note of yourself na dapat ito yung iyong magiging qualities. We have here the characteristics of the researcher. We have the intellectual curiosity, that is a deep thinking and inquiry. Course, you have to make sure that the research or the title that you're going to do ay hindi naman ganun kababaw. Okay? And prudence, careful to conduct research at the right time and the right place, wisely, efficiently, and economically. Okay? Healthy criticism, always doubtful as to the truthfulness and veracity, authenticity of the results. So, if you have your advisor, your TIC, or the panel, so they are here to help you. So you have to accept it positively because it will help you to improve your work or your research. Okay? So kailangan medyo wag kayo sasamaan loob. Okay? Pag kino-correct kayo, that is unhealthy criticism. So next is the intellectual honesty, honest to collect or gather data or facts in order to arrive at honest results, of course. So you have to gather or collect data based on the reliable source. Don't get it anywhere na hindi siya reliable. Intellectual creativity creates new researches and innovative. Right now, we are in the pandemic, so it is your creativity on how are we going to have a research, but make sure, sinasabi ko nga sa inyo, I just want to remind you that the data that you should gather will be coming from the reliable sources. Okay? So, next is we have the types of research. Basic research, called fundamental research or pure research, which seeks to discover basic truths or principles. Example are those below. O yan, yung mga basic research. Ito na yung mga talagang law, as you can see. Ito na yung mga existing talaga. Okay? So, be applied research seeking new applications of scientific knowledge to the solution of a problem. And we have a developmental research, decision-oriented research involving the application of the steps of the scientific method in response to an immediate need to improve existing practices. Classification of research, we have library research. Of course, it is done in the library. So, kaso nga lang, ma'am, how about us? We cannot go to the library because pandemic. Okay? So, we are going to make sure that you can get scholarly journals sa mga reliable websites. Okay? So, we have here the field research conducted in the natural setting and applicable to descriptive survey and experimental methods. So, example of this is if you want to know a certain what do you call this, for example, you want to know the life of the fisherman, so makikipamuhay ka sa mga mangingisda, so nandoon ka din sa natural setting nila. Okay, so laboratory research conducted in the artificial controlled conditions by isolating the study in a thoroughly specified and equipped area, so it is applicable to experimental, descriptive, and case study methods. Okay, laboratory research. So here, like for example, our vaccine, COVID vaccine, di ba? So that is laboratory research. So scientific method, identifying the problem or question, clarifying the problem, determining the information needed and how to obtain it, organizing the information, and interpreting the results. In other words, the essence of all research originates in curiosity, a desire to find out how and why things happen, including why people do the things they do, as well as whether or not certain ways of doing things work better than others. Ibig sabihin, it involves testing of ideas in the public arena. Okay, so private procedures, speculations, and conclusions are not scientific until they are made public. Components of research. So we have here the basic components of research. We have here 10, and these are the process that we're going to follow. First, the problem objectives, hypothesis, theoretical conceptual framework, assumptions, review of related literature, research design, data collection, data processing, and statistical treatment, analysis and interpretation, and summary, conclusions, and recommendations. So don't worry, we're going to go through this step by step. Okay? So if you don't have question, or if you have questions on the discussion, so I will entertain that in our synchronous session, okay, to be announced in our elements. So thank you so much for listening.